Rafale fighter jets arriving at the Ambala Airbase in the country, and Indian Air Force Chief R.K.S. Bhadauria received these lethal warbirds at India's one of the most historic and strategic airbase. Welcoming the world-class jets, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has responded and said this marks the beginning of a new era in India's military history. Warning India's enemies, however, Rajnath Singh further adds, we can now deter any threat on our country. The Rafales have reached Ambala, which is their home base, at around 3:10 p.m. today. The Gamechanger jets, as it is being called, will officially be inducted into the Golden Arrows number 16 squadron of the Indian Air Force in August. The Rafale can fly at a speed of 1.8 Mach and can climb to a height of about 50,000 feet. Remember, it has a range of 3,700 kilometers, and that can be increased with mid-air refueling. The first batch is of 5 Rafale jets, and this will be in total the 36 supersonic omni-role combat aircraft that India has bought from France. And let's take you straight on ground with while the water salute visuals of short while ago are on your screens. India Today's defense editor Abhishek Bhalla is at the Ambala Airbase. Abhishek, over to you. How's the mood like? You are where many would have wanted to be at this point to really witness history. You tell us what is precisely happening there.
Pooja, it was an extremely, exciting moment when the Rafales were seen over the Air Force base just before landing. And obviously now it's been about half an hour since the touchdown has happened, and since then the pilots were obviously welcomed by the crew and the staff here at the Ambala Air Force Base. Also present is R.K.S. Bhadauria, the Air Chief Marshal, who himself came in here to make sure that he's the one who greets and welcomes the pilots who brought the 5 Rafales from Mérignac in France. They took the first flight on the 27th of July, reached UAE by evening. It was a long journey, about 7 hours, not easy to be in that little cockpit for so long. That's the reason why they needed a proper rest. And earlier today, they flew from UAE, and after all the long wait, finally the Rafales are here. It's taken almost 2 decades for the Indian Air Force to have a modern aircraft of their choice. It went through a lot of negotiations, deliberations, and of course the big political controversy. But notwithstanding all of that, finally the Rafale is here and it's operationally ready. Not just the machine, but also the pilots as well as the ground crew. And in some time to come, we'll definitely see the Rafale in action, being part of war games, various exercises, and obviously, carrying out several drills, be it with the Army or the Navy, because synergy is the mantra for the Indian Air Force in time to come. And we can surely expect the Rafale to be in full action very soon.
Okay, stay on with me, Abhishek, because I'm also now joined by Senior Executive Editor Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, there are many viewers, watchers right now very keen on the arrival of the Rafale jets, but would want to become more aware of why is it being celebrated, why is it such a big deal. So for the benefit of the viewers, Gaurav, how historic is this arrival of the first batch of the Rafale fighter jets?
Pooja, you very rightly pointed out that this is actually historic. Why is this historic? Because for close to 2 decades, India has been waiting for a new fighter jet, and this deal has gone through so many twists and turns. Many thought that it may not happen even after the deal was inked. But finally, the first 5 have landed in India. Why is this crucial? Because this is a generation ahead virtually of everything else that we have in the Indian Air Force inventory. So while the Mirage 2000s and the Su-30 MKIs and the MiG-29 air superiority fighters are outstanding aircraft, but remember, the Mirage 2000s were bought in 1987. MiG-29s came around the same time. The Su-30s came 18 years ago. So for 18 years, India hasn't got a new aircraft, and something as potent as the Rafale. Why is the Rafale so potent? Take a look at the weapon systems on board. You have air-to-air missiles that can hit an enemy target 150 kilometers away. That is what the Meteor can do. The Scalp can destroy a target 500 kilometers away, air to ground. The Hammer missile can destroy a target 60 kilometers away with its extended range. So these are just some of the weapon systems. And remember, it has 14 hard points. So it can take a lot of ammunition on board. And it's not just an air dominance fighter or an air superiority fighter. This is an omni-role fighter. What does that mean? Pooja, this can do any task that is expected of it. It can be an attack aircraft, it can be a defense aircraft,
Yes.
And it's an omni-role aircraft. Point one. Point two, what is extremely crucial is its radar system, its weapon suite, all of it combined makes it a very, very good weapon system that Indian Air Force very desperately needed, given the situation along the line of actual control and the line of control, Pooja.
Very important details, because everyone needs to understand how big this could be as a change. And Gaurav Sawant is presently in Ladakh as well, giving us this update. Gaurav, please stay on with me. I just want to go back to Abhishek Bhala. Abhishek, while we were talking, let's remember, yes, this was not without so much controversy as well. The issue of its pricing, what exactly led to the government decision. But with today, these fighter jets arriving amid the water salute, how is this being looked at politically? We hear Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, already stating, enemies beware, and this time, this is what India's air power is.
Well, Pooja, it's one of the most important assets of the Indian military now, and it was long awaited, and it's finally here. And the reason why the Indian military is quite excited about it is because it does change a lot of dynamics as far as air capabilities are concerned. Now remember, India has to deal with twin adversaries in the neighborhood, and we often talk about a two-front war, and this is in fact one of those moments where India is faced with a dual threat. We are still obviously nowhere close to war. We don't want to indulge in any kind of scaremongering, but the situation is extremely tense at the borders, be it on the northern borders with China or with the western borders with Pakistan, like it has been for many, many years. Now, why Rafale will bring about a change is, we keep using the term game changer. I agree, it sounds a little cliched, but the fact remains that things will change in a big way for the Indian Air Force. I'll just give a simple explanation that many experts have been giving. They say that till now, the Indian Air Force needed 2 fighter jets to take on 1 Pakistani F-16. That will reverse now. From here onwards, 1 Pakistani F-16, rather 2 Pakistani F-16s will be required to take on an Indian Rafale. As far as China's air capabilities are concerned, obviously China's air force is extremely modern, but they bank heavily on the Chengdu J-20 and the Su-35, which is Russian-made, whereas the J-20 is their indigenous make. What many experts believe is that the Rafale, which is a 4.5 generation aircraft, is a notch above both the J-20 as far as the Su-35.
That's the hope, so Abhishek.
It does make a big difference
that's the
for
hope
India's
of the citizens, because it will be...
Another very important aspect is...
Go ahead, finish your point. Yes.
Well, Pooja, I just wanted to make a point that Ambala is a very, very strategic location for Rafale. Remember, it's also home to the MiG-21 and the Jaguars, and its strategic location has been one of the reasons why the Rafales will be stationed here and will carry out operations from here, because it's in a close proximity to launch operations against the western threat, which is Pakistan, as well as the northern borders of China. It doesn't really have to be based in Ladakh to carry out operations in eastern Ladakh. It can very easily fly from here. Remember, the Meteor missiles have a range of 160 to 170 kilometers. So it's very much possible for them
I think that's very significant what you're telling us. And citizens of this country who are not directly associated with the defense or aviation sector, so to say, at least must know these are the jets who will be our protection when the need arises. I request